Hey everybody, today I'm going to be showing you a little bit of footage from Kingdom Come Deliverance. Now, if you don't know what that is, it's an upcoming RPG being developed by Warhorse Studios out in the Czech Republic, and we had the awesome time and awesome privilege of interviewing them on the Casual Shenanigans Gaming podcast. And there's a link to that on screen right now. You can click that button. It will take you to the interview if you want to watch the whole thing. We talked to Toby and Adam from Warhorse. They were a lot of fun, and they agreed to let us try the game out. So this is an alpha right now, which is really important for you to know because you're going to notice plenty of little things in the video. Like there's a lot of stuff that pops in, textures that load slowly, models that load slowly, some jerky animations, stuff like that. This game is a very long way out from release, so it's not fair to evaluate it based on any technical glitches like that. Now, obviously, if those things are still there when the game releases, that would be bad, but there's a lot of polish in quite a few areas of the game, so that leads me to think they're probably going to squash all that stuff before it releases. But Kingdom Come Deliverance is an RPG that is supposed to be realistic. So there's no dragons, there's no elves, there's nothing like that. This is not a fantasy RPG, which is most of the RPGs that come out, to be fair. This is supposed to be a fairly realistic, somewhat historical RPG set in Bohemia, which is now the modern-day Czech Republic. And you will follow a blacksmith's son as he presumably has many adventures and journeys around this region, meeting people and doing quests and getting in fights and et cetera, et cetera. Honestly, I don't know too much about the story so far because we were mostly looking at the game when the story is so far out that I'm sure they don't even have it finished yet. But the first thing you probably notice is that this game is really good looking. It's built on CryEngine, which is pretty obvious if you're familiar with CryEngine, but CryEngine looks awesome. It's also pretty brutal on your system. Obviously, this game's a ways out from release, so you can't really determine how it's going to run when it releases, but running at 4K on medium settings on my rig, which is a 4790K with a GTX 980 Ti, I was struggling to maintain 30 FPS most of the time. So again, that's not really fair to say, oh, the game runs really poorly, because it doesn't. The game's not done. But the game does look really, really good, and it doesn't surprise me that at this stage in development, it runs pretty slowly. It doesn't have like a really stylized look like another RPG, like say The Witcher 3 would have. Everything might look a little more flat when you first look at it, but really all that means is it's much more realistic. And, you know, at this time of day, like you're seeing, you know, the woods and everything, it's midday. That's when light is boring. That's kind of what you would expect. And I kind of like the realism they're going for in every aspect here. This is a little bit different than most RPGs I've looked at, and it's kind of refreshing. It's a cool idea. I appreciate what they're trying to do. They've got some cool mechanics they're working on, which they go into a lot more detail in the interview. But just to quickly recap, they have music that dynamically changes based on where you go and what you do, and it flows together. Now, granted, this is still very early pre-release, but I did hear some of that in this alpha, and it worked pretty well. Like as I got closer to certain areas, the music transitioned from more relaxed to a little more upbeat or a little more tension or things like that. So that's a pretty cool idea. Also, the mechanics work decently well. Now, this game, they've wanted to do a lot of different things with sword fighting. They wanted sword fighting to be more realistic and more skill-based than in a lot of other RPGs. And so far, I'm pretty impressed. Now, the sword fighting training was really hard, and I did really poorly. And Evil Viking 13 had the same thing happen to him. But the first time I actually fought somebody with a sword in a duel, I did a lot better. So that's probably just a balancing thing. But the sword fighting is really interesting because you can swing at different body parts, and you can chain different angles of swinging together in different areas you aim for to try to throw the other person off guard. And you can also combine that with blocking, lunging, things like that. It's a cool idea, and it's a lot more technical than most games with a sword where you just, you hack and slash. So it's a lot different than that. And of course, we got to wait till the game comes out to see if it's going to be really fun long term. But from the little bit I've played of it so far, I think it's pretty cool. It's definitely hard. It's a very hard system to master, I'm going to guess. But it was pretty fun, and it kept me engaged in a sword fight instead of just feeling like I was button mashing to get through it. So that was pretty cool. There were only a few missions in the alpha that I've found so far, and they were kind of variations on the standard, go here, talk to this person, go find this thing. But there did appear to be a couple ways to solve each of them, even if I only picked one of the ways. And it did seem like you're going to have a little bit of choice and a little bit of variation on how you do stuff. And obviously this little slice of the game is too small to really determine how everything is going to be. But it seemed to be a fairly standard RPG system so far, but very well implemented. So that's good. I did like that the game, at least in this stage of development, doesn't seem to really hold your hand. It lets you know, hey, there's someone over here that might be able to help you with something, and it might provide like a map location. But it's really up to you to kind of find them in the area, track them down, and talk to them about what you need. So you can't talk to everybody, but you can talk to people who can't really help you and are just kind of there in the environment. And a lot of the people you do talk to have something they can either help you or provide a little backstory or something else. So there's definitely some value to like wandering into a town and just seeing what's up and talking to all the townspeople. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that gets fleshed out in the game itself. I could easily see this being a game that I could put quite a bit of time into. I do tend to like RPGs, and I get bored with kind of the standard fetch quests and grinding and stuff like that, and this doesn't seem like it's going to be that type of game. It seems like it's going to be a little slower, a little more technical, and maybe a little more like a simulation. And the developers did shy away from using the word simulation during our interview. I could understand why they wouldn't want to call it a simulation, because that carries a lot of connotations with it to a lot of people. Sound like it's going to be super accurate but not fun, which definitely wasn't the case. This was quite a bit of fun. But I see it as a little bit of a simulation in the sense that it's not about them just throwing things at you nonstop. It's about you kind of finding your way in this world they've created. And it feels like the world is going on with or without you. Like you're not the savior of all whatever sent here, and you're the chosen one in the prophecy, and you're going to save us all, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. If you don't mind, could you go find 30 chickens because I'm out of chickens? It doesn't feel like that, which in turn means it doesn't really feel like a lot of RPGs, and I'm totally okay with that. This definitely feels like something where you're going to have to put a little more effort into it to get a lot of reward out of it, where it wants you to become engrossed in the culture and learn about it and kind of become committed to this game world they're creating. And the developers did say that certain historical events will happen a certain way regardless of what you do. They are going to make this follow history for the most part. So it's not like you're going to dramatically change major historical events, although I'm sure you will have a lot of influence on certain areas in the game itself. So that's pretty cool, and I respect that. I kind of like it when games just let you participate in a slice of something that's happening without making it seem like you're the most important thing that's entered this little town in the last 50 years, because it's just different. Not many games do that. Most games obviously want to make you feel like you're the big hero, you're the huge champion, and maybe you do become a big hero or a big champion at some point in Kingdom Come Deliverance, but so far from talking to developers, it seems more like you're going to play an important part, but just a part in the history of the Bohemian region. So I think that's pretty cool. Now, like I said, the game is pretty far out from being released, so I don't want to make too many determinations about how it's going to be, but I look forward to following it throughout its development, and I have definitely enjoyed the part I've played so far. So if you are interested in seeing more of this, go check out the developer interview we did with Toby and Adam, and go check out the game. There's lots of links in the description, and thanks for watching. Have a good day.